we already knew that it was every 2 years. Now I've only been at the drill hall for a year, well, just over a year now. So it was already something that was happening before I started. So I don't know how the original partnership came about, but definitely when I started here, I knew about the festival. I knew that it was every 2 years, but that they need to get the funding in place for each festival as it happens. And obviously we'll be part of that narrative when they're applying for the funding. So they'll say that they're working citywide, and we're one of those partners that are working with them. Then it's a case of joint programming. So because I'm aware of Frequency coming up, and so is our chief exec, Chris Kirkwood, we'll then look at work that will fit into a digital festival. So we're looking at things that kind of match the themes or the art that's involved in Frequency. And if we find something, we then send it over to Uzma and Sam at Frequency and say, this is something that we found and we think are very interesting, but at the same time, they will then also come to us and go, we found this, what do you think about having this at the drill hall? So we keep space open and we find the things kind of on a co-program basis. So we'll look at things together and go, what's going to be the best fit for the festival this week, for this year. So again, it depends on theme, it depends on what audience we want to capture. Like the drill hall is quite well known for its family work, so we'll always look for a piece of work that fits the themes for families, but also then being and keeping spaces open and available for installations and different kind of projects that Frequency might want to put in with us.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when we spoke to Sam, she was like, I think as well, it's like a mutual partnership because you obviously, it allows you to book more unique performances and installations that you wouldn't normally book because it wouldn't usually appeal to your sort of venue and obviously your audiences.
It means that we can take risks, both us and them, in that we get the extra kind of marketing that comes with being part of a festival programme, but at the same time, they can also tap into our audiences, so our audiences can try something new. So yeah, like you say, it is a joint effort in that we can both use each other to build audiences across the city.
Does hosting Frequency Festival boost the interest in your venue at all? Because I mean, we wasn't really aware of drill hall before the Frequency. Well, I know I wasn't, definitely.
Oh, okay.
But obviously I think that's just because for students you don't really see that kind of side of it.
Yeah.
So do you think it boosted your venue at all?
I do. I don't have any data or figures in my head of that happening, but absolutely. Anything that we can do at the drill hall in terms of citywide partnerships that will develop more interest in us.
More into Lincoln.
Yeah.
Do you think that works with Frequency? Like are they achieving this?
Yeah, absolutely. Any kind of program that you can put in, Frequency included within that, about putting Lincolnshire on the map, I think is great. One thing that I found that when I first moved here to Lincoln for this job at the drill hall is that Lincoln doesn't shout about itself enough, whereas Frequency, it's such a wide range of work and national and international artists actually puts Lincoln on the map for once. And that actually we're going, look at this work that's now happening here in Lincoln, which is great for the economy, it's great for travel and tourism, but it's also great for the people that live here to have something to be proud of.
Yeah, more of a sense of community.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, we definitely went to places that we wouldn't normally go to, and it creates this kind of sense there.
Yeah.
Do you believe that using the students from Lincoln Units, obviously they use them as volunteers, they use them within the festival, do you think that helps bring the students more into Lincoln and gets everyone more interested in everything?
But one of the things that I think is crucial about using the students within Frequency and other citywide events is to give the students an ownership of Lincoln as well, so they actually feel like they're part of the city. One thing that I think is really crucial is that 25% of the population in Lincoln are students because of the growth of Lincoln University and this Bishop's Uni as well. But I think an issue is that we get those students that will come here, they study for 3 years and then they go off elsewhere. But actually, not just students in the creative industries, in any industry, they need to feel part of this place, they need to feel proud about it, they need to have that sense of community here in the city, so that after they graduated, they stay here, they make their work here, and then they improve the economy within the city.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Frequency do quite a lot as well at like the south end of the high street, where not a lot of people tend to go. They tend to like just not avoid it almost, but it's like kind of a different part of Lincoln.
Yeah.
Do you think that helps like connect it more, like it's one big city?
Absolutely. There's definitely one thing I found is a divide between uphill and downhill, and that's one of the things that we try and do at the Drill Hall is focus work for areas that are downhill, down on the high street. But then, so we're trying to engage those communities, but at the same time, it's difficult to get the ones that are uphill to come downhill. We're kind of in the middle, which I think is a good place to be, but there's definitely a sense of divide between the two, and things like Frequency, or even things like that happen within the city, like the Barons Trail that happened, and the Knights Trail that's about to happen. Anything that gets people moving across the city and see the city as a whole, rather than as two separate areas, is a great thing. So Frequency doing things up at the castle or the cathedral and also down on the high street is a brilliant thing.
Yeah, I think that definitely works more. Okay, so I've asked that one. Sorry, we've got like a list of questions I need to make sure I cover. Do you believe Frequency Festival will work as an all-round year event? Because when we've been speaking to them, it's something they're kind of looking into, having like a basis here. Do you think that would work?
I think funding dependent, obviously. I think it would be good to do it every year, but then obviously the planning and costs and everything like that involved in that become great. I think the one thing that we should do is actually do kind of frequency, maybe frequent frequencies, in the not festivals but one-off events that go, here's a little warm-up for what's coming up for the festival this year. So with obviously the festival happening in October this year, could there be something that happens in the summer that goes, this is happening now, look at this event, and it's a warm-up maybe to the festival happening, or is it some kind of I don't know, participation thing that gets people excited about the festival coming in, which again will then generate interest and the ownership of the festival in the city.
Yeah, I think that definitely work as well.
Yeah.
So when do you start marketing the events that are happening here with Frequency? Do they give you a certain date? Are you aware? Or?
Again, it's based on conversations with Frequency themselves. A lot of the times what will happen is, because they have their own brochure but we have our brochure as well, is that we might put it on sale before Frequency is announced, but only because it goes on sale and it goes in our brochure. We can't put something in our brochure that's not on sale yet. So it might have to go on sale with us early. So that's us promoting it ourselves, and it's there on our website and on our social media. But then obviously we will then begin the push once the whole of the Frequency Festival is on sale. And people can then look at their programme and look at the events that are happening with us.
I know you mentioned social media there. Do you think your social media, like conversations between people, grew a lot more when Frequency was here? Do you see more interaction online? Has it been like a digital arts festival?
I can't answer that because the last Frequency was before my time, so I don't know what our social media engagement was like. But maybe if we have this conversation again after October, then we'll talk more about that.
So I know you mentioned, like, obviously you worked together to place installations. Now there's quite a few here in 2015.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there'll be quite a few here again this year?
I'm hoping so, definitely. Just as much engagement. I think one of the things that's good for us here is that it opens up spaces that people, so not only do people might not know about the venue, like you as students didn't know about us till recently, but it gets people into our spaces that they wouldn't know about. Like there's a rifle range underneath the building from it being an old drill hall. And there was an installation down there before.
There was, with the bed, that was really good.
So can we get something down there again that makes people go, wow, what is this? I didn't know this about this building. And it just gives people a reason to know us a bit more than just, it's that building with a face on the front. Which a lot of people, that's how they describe us. So
obviously I know you weren't here for 2015, but are you aware if they've rebooked any artists or have been considering any of the artists that was there in 2015? Like, that was good, we could try and get them again?
Not that I'm aware of as yet, or they might have been last time, but I wouldn't know about them. I know one thing that's so last year we had a brilliant family piece, and I know of this even before I came because I programmed it at a venue that I used to work at. we had a piece called Blur by a company called TPO.
Yeah.
So yeah, all round projecting on the floor, and it was like a dance piece, brilliant for family engagement. And I know that we're looking not to program TPO again, but something like that. So something for families to engage in. Like I know that, I don't know if it'll definitely happen, but one thing that I've been looking at is a piece around live animation. So families will come along and they will watch a performance and they will explain, they will give ideas of how a story might take place, and then the animators will create that story right there in front of them with live music underscoring the story that they tell. So it's looking at things like that. So it's not necessarily about the artists definitely coming back, it's more about re-engaging the audiences that have been before. Yeah.
Definitely. If you had to sum up like the frequency and the idea of linking in frequency and digital arts in one quote, what would it be?
I think that frequency brings citywide thinking, programming and ownership, and it's a great opportunity for collaboration between venues and non-venues within the city, and it's great to it's a platform for great digital art.